Treaty 4 territory, the Queen City offers a diverse home for us all, but many are left on the street without a physical space to live in. Houseless individuals in our city have been struggling to care for themselves without proper shelter and support. The city of Regina is experiencing a housing crisis. Grassroots organizers and local shelters are begging for more help from the city and government officials. This is Queen City Crisis. Gimme shelter.
They play that old game of kicking the football around and whose responsibility it is, but in the end, it's all of our responsibility.
No one on council is deeply impacted the same way that me, my wife, the community members in Ward 6 and Ward 3 are. No.
This is reality for some people in what's supposed to be a vibrant city.
There's no reason that a community like Regina should have homelessness.
There is a tent here, but I hope it's empty.
I think you need to check your privilege.
Here at the Queen City Wellness Pharmacy, Shiloh Stevenson is an advocate and community leader for houseless individuals. He works hands-on every day with those in the Heritage neighborhood. As an addictions counselor and outreach support, Stevenson witnesses people every day who are without a home and actively struggling with addiction. Stevenson tries to help connect his community with their roots and traditional way of life. One of the ways in which he does this is by smudging every day with those in the pharmacy, which he was so generous as to let us film.
We start our day off with smudging. So I smudge at home to give thanks, but here we ask for different blessings for whatever the people need. Yesterday's needs might be different than today's. So as in everything else in life, it's where we were, where we are, and where we're going. We have the space. People come in any time of day. It's like, can I smudge? Can I sit in the back for a second? And it's just an escape from reality for a lot of people. It's the smudge takes them mentally to a safe place of security when they were younger or prior in life. So it's just we're able to provide that service here. Those blessings with smudging. We have coffee every morning. We have snacks every day. We have lunch for our clients. We have people available. We have therapists, counselors, doctors, pastors, priests, like whatever the person needs in their life. That's my job, is to navigate them through the system to get whatever they need. And for them to realize that the only thing holding them back is themselves and their will. So.
Tiro Matembu is a co-owner of Hampton Hub Restaurant in the Heritage neighborhood. Matembu is a passionate community activist, working to strengthen his community in any way he can.
Our restaurant is named after the chairman, Fred Hampton, from Chicago, who spoke here at the U of R 3 weeks prior to his assassination in Chicago. This is a working class community, and we take great joy in feeding and serving our community the best that we can.
Mark Spooner is a current professor at the U of R and former chair and board member of Carmichael Outreach.
I think, one, let's be clear, the reason we have homelessness is because we have a broken social safety net. So that's a failure of us in our community, and we as community members not to demand more and of our governments to provide more. Most of us are a couple of events away from being homeless. And all of a sudden, without a good safety net, whether that's your family providing that or the state, you can find yourself not being able to make ends meet. Homelessness is an issue that many people would rather turn a blind eye to and to walk away from.
Like there's just people messed up and people try to fix their lives and they can't, so that's why many stay in this lifestyle, because they give up. There's just no support, the stigmatism, and just the way they're treated. Like, they're followed around in stores, they're banned from stores. Like, when you sit and talk with them, you get to know them. They're like, a lot of them are family for me. that I work with and friends, and we're all kin in our Indigenous way. Cheerleading? Yeah, that's a good picture. Hurry up, cheerlead for me then.
As an addictions counselor, a large portion of Stevenson's time is dedicated to facilitating the recovery of patients. His nurturing approach is grounded in Indigenous belief.
But recovery and a child learning to walk is very much the same thing, because they fall, they stumble, they trip, they relapse, same concept. But the difference is between recovery and teaching your child to walk is we kick them while they're down when they're in recovery.
Regina's Mayor, Sandra Masters, sat down with our team to address the houseless issue in our city. She understands that this is a problem that needs to be resolved.
We almost doubled in terms of those that were experiencing houselessness or that were living rough. I also know that in terms of who is houseless right now, according to the pit count, 3/4 of them are Indigenous.
This February, Phoenix Residential Society hosted the 7th annual Homeless Memorial to honor those who have lost their lives to houselessness. The event gave a platform for those who have experienced houselessness.
I get to learn these lessons in the hard way.
As well as for community experts to speak more on this issue.
Put myself in other people's shoes to try to have some empathy.
But like this past weekend, we just had another 2 people pass away and that's just our circle from the pharmacy. But since Christmas, I've been to 22 funerals. So when you see the empty kits, you know somebody's overdosed.
Within the city of Regina, resources have been limited in terms of mental health aid and social service support.
Solely. So we need to treat harm reduction in a very holistic, pragmatic approach. And currently, we're running it in a underfunded, under-resourced, nonprofits competing for the same resources.
We don't have enough mental health services. The province is fully aware of this. And so we do roads and we do waste, we do street lighting, we do parks and rec, we do water provision, we do all of these things, but we don't do social services, and we don't do health.
We had the opportunity to discuss the houselessness crisis further and the province's role with the Minister of Social Services, Jean Mikowski, on Spring Budget Day at the Legislative Building.
Talking about the City of Regina, we had this summer a announcement on a 29-unit space that will have supportive living. And so a lot of folks out there that are hard to house and facing homelessness, they need some of those wraparound supports I talked about before.
I've been an advocate for a long time, and there was a time where the city even denied that they had an issue. So that's changed, and I think the city has taken on heading up certain initiatives to provide social housing. So those are good steps.
And substance use disorder would be the most complicating factor we have in terms of housing. Oftentimes who ends up in our warming shelter are individuals who don't want to take on the responsibility of a house. They actually want to not have that responsibility, and so shelter space is ideal for them.
Every moment is a moment of deciding, is this safe or not safe? Am I going to live tonight? Am I going to eat tonight? Where am I going to stay? Am I going to freeze to death? Am I going to get beat up? All of those kinds of things mean that I'm not so good at advocating for myself in that condition like anybody would be.
The suburban white folks really want pools and hockey arenas, and marginalized communities of color in the inner city are begging for more help.
I think I gotta go around this way, eh? Or which way is the... Oh, you got the lock on?
Shiloh introduced our team to Randy, a houseless individual who is currently living in a makeshift home within the Heritage neighborhood. Randy stays here with his adult children, a daughter and a son.
But his son lived this lifestyle, and that's why he came back and did this, because he didn't want to leave his son alone on the street, and he said, I just fear police coming and telling me he's dead. So
the neighbor kind of complained for a little while, then we phoned the landowner, and talked to the landowner, then we told him, meet me halfway 50-50 and I'll meet you halfway, so I told him. Then we agreed, and he let me stay in this stuff. This is how it is when you're homeless, I guess.
This is the reality, eh?
Yeah. If you don't know how to survive out there, then you end up freezing.
Simple, right? There's no big $1 million projects that need to be done. Like, we're building homes and we're counting the homeless people. Well, at the end of the day, they're still homeless. So it's like, what did we accomplish? We just need to get the work done and less talking.
And the more they keep turning their back to it, when they come full circle, it's going to be twice as bad. We're running out of carpet to brush it under. So that stigmatism that people have, they really need to be not so naive about shit and more focused on the realities. This house burnt. It was a trap house, and we responded here hundreds of times, probably 2 times a day.
There are homes that are boarded up specifically because, frankly, they were used to cook meth in, and meth gets into the gyprock. And so it's actually a health and safety concern. You can't put someone else in without spending thousands of dollars to peel that house back to studs to recreate it. And so when you see from 2018 to today a 300% increase in overdose deaths, you can almost lay that fully at the feet of fentanyl.
In the end, I just find it unacceptable that we allow ourselves to tolerate or even pretend it doesn't exist, that we have homelessness in our community, that every winter somebody dies in our streets because they had nowhere to go and they freeze to death.
I think it's important to go to City Council and speak as delegates on issues that mean a lot to our communities, because that's our home, that's where we belong.
Good afternoon, Council. My name is Tiro Matembu. Allies, I want everyone to remember we are not responsible for the mental illness that is being inflicted upon us by your inaction. To not address this core issue is further colonial settler violence being inflicted upon our people. This is disgraceful. Having people cry over their dead loved ones, and you guys sit up here talking about pools, pickleball, budgets for the police. What does Real need next? I'm done pleading. I wanted to speak to my peoples. We shall overcome. We shall overcome this racial oppression. Thank you.
I'm raising my family in this neighborhood. This is a beautiful community, so I'm very optimistic. But that does mean that we need to continue to pursue a structured approach to dealing with a problem that impacts us all. We're a safer, we're a healthier society when we take care of our most marginalized.
If you just look at it from a human perspective, you're not allowing someone to suffer, to get beat up, to get force themselves to be in unsafe or unsanitary places just because they can't afford a place to stay, a place to rest their head at night.
So I don't believe the model is just to throw people into houses. I think it's actually it's destined to fail. There's not There's not one answer for one person because it's a human service model that literally requires an arm around the shoulder of every single individual.
I think just the more that people come and understand with open-minded and not be so naive, that's the biggest thing I can emphasize. If you don't know, ask. There's difficult conversations we need to have about addictions, mental health, and drug use and houselessness. And this is part of it, but it's also learning more about it. You know, eventually my hope is that we don't have any houseless folks. We don't have any people in addictions. We go back to our traditional way of life. And with that accomplishment, that means I wouldn't have a job. And ultimately that's what I would want.
The realities you've heard reflect a community that is desperate for help. Stories from people who have faced houselessness and from community organizers fighting for change have been extremely eye-opening. Government officials need to hear these accounts from those most affected.
I have Mother Earth right here and the sweat lodge, which we call the womb of Mother Earth. So when we go into sweat, we leave all our hurt and give thanks and whatever our intents are. So we're in the womb of Mother Earth there. And when we leave the womb, we got to go to our spirit world. And this is that red road they talk about. So we need to go from here to there. During our journey, we enter a lot of darkness, addictions, criticism, gossiping, whatever, all the negative things in life, but also the materialistic things. You know, we get lost in our white world. You know, it's it's a hard balance to get from here to here, and that's where we struggle. A lot of our people are stuck over here. A lot of our people are stuck over here. They're too fancy, too bougie for ceremony or whatnot, but this is our journey in life, and that's the way it was explained to me, and that was Ron's teaching. So what we're trying to do is lead by example, because I have that experience, is to get people out of here back onto that red road and to our spirit world, because we still have a journey. Our children are dying, our second and third generation people are dying, and we're such a lost people. So we're trying our hardest to walk that balance in life here and show other people, so they come back to their roots and find that self-identity, that spirit of culture and everything. So, and that's where we're at with this.